So I get asked different types of questions pertaining to the goth lifestyle and or vampirism in general. I realized through a lot of these questions and my reaction to a lot of these questions that this lifestyle, well, this scene meaning lifestyle, has changed a lot in the last, say, 15 or so years. Well, changed out here where I'm from. And it feels like it changed for the worse. Now I see why a lot of people ask these questions. When you was in school, you had history classes, right? So whether you agree or believe in everything you learned or not, now that you're an adult, the fact is you still had to know your past to have a better idea and or even know what's going on in this day and age. You had to learn where everything came from. And if you don't agree with or like anything you learned, you would still need to know some of your history so you can at least know what you don't like about it and why you don't like it. So I'm starting to do these videos. I'm gonna start doing videos like this because talking to people, I've come to realize there's a lot of people running around with unks on, claiming a house or a family, something like that, something to that degree, but they have no idea that there was an actual goth scene or vampire scene and such outside of whenever they seen people walking down the street and just thought they looked cool and wanted to get into it, meaning today. So you tell people that there was actually an ongoing successful scene of underground people who stayed hidden, like-minded individuals. Tell them that it was people that this all existed years ago, like 1990, 1980 something, and they look at you like you got two heads. And it's amazing, really. Like, people really don't think the goth scene was out there past 2013, like further back than 2013, 2014. So yes, there were goth people, witches, people who did Wicca, vampires, the ones who call themselves lichens, the ones that call themselves elves, plain old emo people. Yes, all of this existed back in the day. There were people who dress goth-ish, alternative as I like to call it. There was people doing the same things that people are doing today. There were people going to events. There were people who had the same habits. Yes, none of this started happening within the year 2000. This is all not new. Hence how it became a lifestyle. Lifestyle meaning a way to live, a way of living. So it seems that there's confusion, I guess I'll call it, between the way things were, not so much the way they were back in the day, but the way people used to live their lifestyle, used to live within this lifestyle, and the way people live within this lifestyle now. When I talk about this lifestyle, I'm mostly talking about vampirism. I'm talking about vampirism more than anything right now. And a lot of things I say, I'm going to be talking about the goth scene in general. But there's a lot of different, we'll say, creatures that branch out from the goth tree. Right now, today, I'm talking about vampirism. So we're going to go with that. Let me start out by probably making some people laugh and pissing some people off. Being a vampire isn't sticking fangs in your mouth, throwing in some contacts, dressing like either in all black or dressing like your favorite vampire from media, from some movie or TV show, going to crazy parties or some important event, loud, rambunctious music, and sex. That's not what being a vampire is. So sorry for those that got into this that way. Sorry for those people who discovered this lifestyle by meeting people or being friends with somebody who is goth and they took you to some event and people were like, walking around naked or something like that, and you said, hey, this is great, I could do this. No. That's how you learn about this, and that's how you learn to be in this. You are in for a really rude awakening. More importantly, I'm sorry to the people who are living this lifestyle. I'm sorry to the people whose life is this. And I'm sorry to the people who've been living like this for decades. Because I know the people who just jump into this because it looks like something cool to do at the moment, I know they piss you off. I know it makes the scene and everything look really bad, which is another reason why I'm doing videos like this, because I want people to know the way things are now, as far as the bad things go, it wasn't always in this. That's not what this is, and it wasn't always the case. You ask somebody about vampirism, what their definition of it is, what a vampire is to them back in the day, and you ask somebody that now, you're gonna get 2 to probably 10 different answers depending on who you ask and how many people you ask. One of the reasons you're gonna get different answers is because when you ask somebody what is vampirism and you stop there, whatever answer they give you, they're gonna give you an answer according to what it is to them, their lifestyle in this, their life in this. For example, every single time I get asked that question, what is vampirism? What is a vampire? What is vampirism to you? I pretty much give the same answer. I say, all right, well, let's talk. You mean the definition of vampirism? In my mind, it means to become better. Not that you are better, but to learn to become better. Not better than a specific person or a group of people. Just becoming better, being better than you once were. To be normal, mundane, vanilla, whatever you want to call it, and then to become a vampire means you've evolved. Something happened that made you evolve. Now that you evolved, you know things or probably could do things that you couldn't before. That's what vampirism is to me. If a person going to sit down at a table, whether they see a cup at the table or not, and at some point they knock that cup over, they're going to go into either a panic or they're going to just get frustrated. That cup is falling, it's hitting the floor. In the rare case, they might try to reach out and catch it in midair. And in a really rare case, they might actually do it. A person who's more aware, first off, if they see the cup there, that already stands out in their mind. If they knock the cup over, 9 times out of 10, they're going to not panic. And when the cup is falling, because of where it was, remember they seen it when it was sitting down, they'll probably reach their hand under the cup after it falls off the table, therefore catching it in midair. Are they better than a mundane or vanilla person? No, they're not better. They were just more aware of the situation than the average person would have been. If you see people talking in a room, in a restaurant, something to that effect, for whatever the reason you want to know what they're going to say, or you want to know what they're talking about, the average person, first thought in the average person would probably be get closer. If they don't want to be found out, then that would be a bad idea. A person more aware would probably focus on them. You focus on them long enough, the brain tends to give them a voice, whether you know what their voice sounds like or not. You look at their body language, you look at their facial expressions, you focus good enough, you'll pick up on a couple of words that's coming out of their mouth. You put that together with their body language and their facial expressions, and you pretty much can figure out what the conversation is about. Does that make you better than the average person? No. Does that make a vampire better than a mundane? No. In these examples, the person that caught the cup by reaching their hand, open hand underneath the cup, and the person that figured out what the people are saying just by focusing on them, they would be the vampires in this case. Are they better than a mundane? Are they better than a vanilla person? No, they're just more aware of what they could do. They're just more aware of what can be done in that situation. That's all it is. Being more aware, being more awakened to what you can do with your body, with your mind, with your surroundings, being more aware of your surroundings. Take these examples, exaggerate them to the millionth power, and what you have is the stereotypical superpowers vampires have in media, in the novels and in TV and movies. The example of focusing on people far away, watching what they do and picking up on what they're saying, according to media, that would be super hearing, if not super sight. So that's your super senses right there. The open-handed catching something falling off a desk, that would be the media version of super speed and super reflexes. Not necessarily, just more aware that you have those reflexes and therefore use them. You take the whole example with the figuring out what people are saying across the room, you take the whole example of catching a cup in midair, and practice. And the more you practice, like with anything, the better at it you get. These are the things that the average person wouldn't understand. These are the things that vanilla people are, for whatever the reason, they don't think far enough or deep enough. So if the average person asks you about being a vampire and blah, 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 they expect those stereotypical supernatural kind of examples or meanings and such. So they're going to tell you vampires don't exist. Everybody's going to say that because of this. You tell somebody to be more aware of what's going on, learn how to do certain things with your mind and your body, and apply being aware of your surroundings and stuff to life. It sounds corny. I understand it. But when people see you in action, so to speak, or you really apply this and things start to work for you, then you realize to you, okay, this is real. This is a real thing. You take these examples, you apply them to a broader sense now, a broader sense in life, and you start to notice things. You start to notice, if not a change, you notice where things can change, because now you're more aware. You know what your body could do depending on your height, know what your mind can do depending on how you think, know what your eyes can do depending on how good you can or can't see, and just make that broader, apply that more to life. That's a vampire. A vampire is just aware of what they could do and or why.